What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook, out and about in the beautiful hamlet of Appleton. No access for us today in Green Bay at Lambeau, so I didn't make the arduous journey up the stretch of 41 with nothing but construction stretching as far as the eye can see. I stuck around town today, and now, late in the day, I thought I'd hop on and say hi to you fine folks. Nick starts us right off. No hellos, no nothing. Just, does Kevin King look ready? No. But I thought Thursday night was very promising. And I know you're watching the game on Thursday, you're probably thinking, here's this guy, looks responsible for a number of big receptions. But going back and watching the tape, and on the first one especially, he got caught looking in the backfield thinking Clay Matthews was going to sack the quarterback. And on the second one, it's very apparent that he expects safety help on that play, and I think Josh Jones played that coverage wrong. So overall, I thought he looked like a rookie, but a better tackler than expected, which is promising for any guy stepping onto the NFL field for the first time who has basically not had an offseason. So I thought it was really promising for King. Sanjay, hey, how are you? How's Ty's pass pro, Chris? Improving. I don't think it's there yet, but it's improving. 0 pass rush once again. I don't think that's true. Clay Matthews had a sack, just couldn't wrap up. Kyler Fackrell would have had a sack, but the quarterback threw an interception instead. You know, there was a little bit of pass rush. Lindsey Pipkins had a couple really nice slot blitzes. So I wouldn't say that there was no pass rush. I would say that Dom Capers is most likely going to have to depend on pressure calls once again. Is Ty's job in trouble? Preston, I don't think so. Not yet. If he has another fumble or another mistake in the preseason and Jamal Williams continues to look the way he looks, then it's a possibility. Good evening, Chaz. How are you? No word yet on Demarius Randall. He is in the concussion protocol, which means we don't get any information until he is out of the concussion protocol. And we won't have McCarthy again until tomorrow. We didn't get him on Sunday. We didn't get him today. Next time we speak to him will be tomorrow before practice. What's up, Aaron? How are you? Players Tribune, nice. Stacy, yeah, I read Ty's piece on Players Tribune. I thought it was great. I've spoken to Ty before. You know, he hosts our show here on Monday nights in Appleton. My only caveat with the Players Tribune piece is it seems to follow a bit of the same playbook that the Jared Cook, piece took. There's no place like Green Bay idea. Well, that's all well and good until it's contract negotiation time, and then that only goes so far. That doesn't mean they don't mean it. Doesn't mean that, it's not from the heart. But, just remember that stuff is, it may be meant, but only up to a point. Jamal Williams will take, I think there's a possibility that could happen. How's our O-line look? The starting O-line, I think, looks very good, especially in pass protection. Obviously, they couldn't get much going in the running game on Thursday night, but I think a lot of that was due to the talent of the Eagles' defensive front and the fact that they were playing a lot of stacked boxes, almost daring Brett Hundley to throw. Survivor Packers News Edition. Yeah, it's lovely Peabody Park in Appleton. What kind of camp is Lance Kedricks having? He's having a very good camp. He's kind of been all over, up and down the formations, catching pretty much everything thrown to him. He hasn't made any big-time splash plays, but he has kind of been all over the place, and I think he's playing very well. Any interest in veteran running back to help the rookies? No, John. That's just not how they operate. Top rookie standout? That's a good question, Stephen. During practice, I would have said Josh Jones. I don't know, after the game, I'd probably say Kevin King. Where am I at? I'm at Peabody Park in Appleton, Wisconsin. Thank you, William. Very nice of you to say. With Demarius Randall out, do you think we will see any of Janis at corner? There it is. Now we just need a Raji mention and we'll be good. Am I a dog person? Yes, I am. But I don't own a dog because I live in a small apartment in New York City with a family of 5 and a cat. So adding a dog to the mix would be a bit much. My parents own a cat, however. And I left the house because he was barking, but now I can just hear a neighbor down the way, their dog is barking, and getting into the video anyway. So there you go. Barclay, we'll get our kind of next update on Barclay tomorrow. All the injury stuff we'll get tomorrow, including any updates we can possibly pry out of McCarthy on Malachi Dupre, Demarius Randall. McCarthy did say Barclay's injury wasn't, quote, as bad as they feared, quote unquote, at the time it happened on the field. Now, that said, it looked pretty terrible, and it looked like, for all intents and purposes, he was done for the year. That's what we were all kind of thinking in the press box. And then McCarthy says, it's not as bad as they thought. So maybe it goes from he's out all year to he's out a month or 2 months. Who knows? I'm just guessing, but we won't know much more until we get to talk to Mike tomorrow. Rollins still having a good camp? Yeah, Bob, I think so. I think he's having a very strong camp. Have you seen Jordy practice? Is he looking good? Yes, he is. He's not taking a ton of reps as they get. They kind of scaled back his reps once they got closer to the preseason game, obviously because they knew he wasn't going to play. I don't think you'll see him at all in preseason, but he's looked very good. When they were doing installs, he and Rodgers looked like they, were totally in sync. I can remember one day where he had one drop, and he got really mad, and that's going to happen. But for the most part, yes, he's had a very good camp. Hill over Callahan. I tell you what, Zachary, Hill made a case for himself there, those final 2 drives on Thursday night. And if he can get just a few more reps in practice, I think maybe they give him a shot, in these next couple preseason games, see what they got there. Because I know Mike said it. Mike said you got to be excited by what he showed in that final drive, and I agree. I thought he looked very good. Now, that's not to discount Callahan, who I think has had a very good camp, and I think has operated the offense, and I think can make all the throws. I think he's a real gamer, but Hill's got a lot of qualities and a lot of attributes you just can't dismiss. He's older, you can't look past that. But if it's a question of who's a more polished quarterback, has more upside, more athletic ability, etc., it's probably Taysom Hill. So the Packers probably owe it to themselves to find out what they have there and just how efficient and how much progression they can get out of this kid before they make that decision. Think those punt returns are enough to earn Trevor Davis a roster spot, or does he need to do more? I think I wouldn't say he's a lock for the roster, obviously, but I think he's got a very good chance. And those punt returns obviously help a lot. But he's also running on a bunch of other special teams units. Not a bunch, I think 2. But that only helps his case. Obviously, guys like Janis, guys like Davis, they have to play well on special teams to earn that roster spot. Anybody talk to Raji yet? Diane, not yet. Not yet. We're going to get him on the phone, though. Do you wish floating hearts would follow you everywhere? No, I think that would get spooky. How Williams-Montgomery battle going? Well, John, I don't think it's much of a battle. I think, McCarthy has said Ty's going to be the starter, and that hasn't changed. But I don't think you can deny that Williams has looked very good. He's a legit running back, a guy who's played running back for the last X amount of years, as opposed to a wide receiver trying to convert to a position he played back in high school. Now, that said, we've barely seen Ty Montgomery in that game situation. Not that we saw much more of Williams, but what you got to remember with Ty Montgomery is what a kind of X factor he is. The ability to split him out and create mismatches, opportunities, screw up defenses and their coverage plans. That's where his value is. And last year, if you go back and you watch, a lot of his best running came in situational football where they're kind of not tricking the defense, but they're kind of taking advantage on 2nd and 4. They run a draw play, or they get in a rhythm passing game, and all of a sudden they hit them with a tie run. That's much more their game, rather than this 2 tight end or 2 back power stuff that they were running on Thursday night. Pedro, Green Bay from Appleton is like 20 minutes away. Yes, Tammy, that is correct. Or 15 if you're riding with me. Although I did have a nice state trooper give me a nice warning the other day, so I should probably slow down. How is Montravius Adams healing, and will he be on the roster September 10th? Bill, no way of knowing that, projecting that out yet. All accounts, he seems to be doing well. He was in the locker room. He spotted in the locker room. He didn't talk the other day after the game, but he was spotted in there. He's got something on his foot. He won't say how it's doing or anything like that, but I think it's gonna be close. If I know the Packers, and goodness knows I don't, but if I know them, I would think he starts the year on PUP. Nagler and Rodgers Facebook Live? That's never going to happen. Do you know when Beagle is coming back? No, we do not. We'll ask McCarthy about him tomorrow, probably, because we ask about him every time we talk to Mike. But right now, McCarthy keeps saying there's no indication of when he'll be back. Will Good be inserted immediately upon practice? Well, I guess the line coming out of Green Bay right now is that they're going to compete for the job, he and Hart. The whole reason they have resisted bringing back Brett Good is that they wanted a younger guy who will go down and cover kicks and do a little more athletic and ability to get downfield and be part of the coverage unit. But Hart's, snapping has been inconsistent, and they just you cannot lose a game due to a bad snap in the NFL in 2017. Thus the call to Good. I don't think he'll be inserted immediately as the starter. I do think they'll swap back and forth, but I think they'll make a decision sooner rather than later because you want to get what they call the operation running like a finely oiled machine by the time the opener comes along. Surprised with Trevor Davis's play? No, not from scrimmage. I know you're probably talking about the punt returns. I'm not so much in the sense that we've seen it before. We saw the return in Atlanta last year. We know he has the Jets. The thing that I was surprised about was how confidently and cleanly he fielded the punts, because that is something he hadn't looked great doing early on in camp. It looked better as camp went on, but I thought, first preseason game, under the lights, maybe some jitters there, but he didn't exhibit any of that. But then you turn it around and you look at his play on the field, and he did some nice things, but he also had a play where he's flaring out to the right on a out route, and he needs to drift back towards the quarterback to help his QB, to help Hundley. He doesn't do that, and because of that, it's an incompletion. So there's things like that there are ups and downs, but I think obviously those big time punt returns help his case. Mark, anyone stand out today? Mark, we didn't see any practice today. I'm just here chatting with you fine folks. So they're giving Allison more reps on special teams. Yeah, my colleague Michael Cohen wrote a nice piece, PackersNews.com. Check it out if you haven't. It's really rare this day and age where a guy is, an undrafted rookie like Geronimo Allison sticks around on the practice squad and then gets called up for regular season action later in the year and doesn't do anything on special teams. That is, I won't say it's unheard of, but it's close. And so I think this year they've kind of thought to themselves, well, if we're going to carry this guy, a guy, by the way, who hasn't really stood out one way or the other in camp, well, he's got to be able to contribute on special teams. They got to be able to get something more out of him rather than just a kind of break in case of emergency type wide receiver. How's Finley doing? Matt. I don't know, but I did like his tweets today and Martellus Bennett's response. That was some fun stuff. I'm excited for our linebacker development. Yeah, I thought Martinez looked better on Thursday night. I think Joe Thomas, we've seen him in camp. He's been playing very well. I thought that a lot of that carried over to the preseason game. We'll see. I mean, it's interesting because I expected more from Josh Jones in that linebacker spot on Thursday night. He looked a step slow, like he was kind of thinking rather than reacting. Obviously, that should come with time. Brand new system, brand new spot. But, the physical, fly around, make things happen kind of guy we saw early on in camp certainly wasn't on the field on Thursday night. Hi, Aaron. How are you? Do you think we will be ready for Seattle Week 1? They don't really have a choice, do they? Yes, I do. I do think they will be ready. How is Kentrell Bryce looking out there? Nicholas, he had a rough start. He did some nice things. Sorry, guys, I got that sun right behind me. I'll try and move this a little bit. Here we go. He did some nice things, but he missed 3 bad tackles, especially the last one I thought was really inexcusable, where he just kind of threw himself at a guy rather than, short of the sticks too, rather than wrap up and make the tackle. I mean, we've seen him. We saw him last year. He was a great hitter, great tackler. And for whatever reason, on Thursday night, he was not very good. But I think for the most part, he was in the right spots. He made the right fits, made the right plays. Just has to, has to finish. Nagler's got a halo. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants the Nagler halo. How's the D going to handle Lacey in game 1? Well, right now it doesn't sound like they're going to handle him much at all if he's running number 2 behind Rawls. But I think, they'll have a plan for him, undoubtedly. They'll have a lot of probably base sets where they run out Lowry, Daniels, Kenny Clark, switching out Jean-Francois at times. We'll see. Do you think the Packers will beat the Cowboys with or without Elliott? Yes. How do we fix the pass rush? Get Dom call more pressures. Although he called a whole heck of a lot the other night. They didn't really get home. It's not a question of fixing the pass rush. They are almost always in the top 10 for quarterback sacks each and every year. It's a question of winning one-on-ones. And that, that's up to the players. And outside of Matthews or Perry, I know we saw one nice rush from Kyler Fackrell the other night. Outside of that, good luck. Kenny Clark looked pretty good on one play. He pushed the line back and jumped over a guy and made beautiful tackle on the running back. Yeah, he's capable of that. You'd like to see it a little bit more consistently. But, of course, some of that is like what the call is. Some of that is what the offensive line is doing. But he's had a strong camp. Lacy will crush this Packer line. I disagree with that. He'll crush the defensive backs if he gets to the second level. But I think the Packers will play him very well. But I do think, like I said, there will be times where he breaks loose. Well, he will punish some people in the secondary. How do I like my steak done? Always medium rare. What's your take on the national anthem thing? I suppose that's a question. I understand why it's in the ecosphere, the football ecosphere, so to speak. I think it's pretty obvious if you follow me on Twitter. I think, these guys play. They're human beings. They have opinions. They're allowed to have them. They have a platform. They're choosing to use it. And you can get upset about that if you want. That's your right. These guys, they can protest if they want. That's their right. Me, doesn't bother me either way. Josh Jones versus Eddie Lacy. That's what you're paying admission for in week 1. Anyway, we keep Michael Clark on the practice squad. I think he has practice squad written all over him. I don't think there's any doubt. Concussion news. Gary, nothing. We won't have anything until we talk to McCarthy tomorrow. There was no availability with McCarthy yesterday, and there's none today. So we won't have anything on Randall or Dupree until we meet with Mike before practice tomorrow. Is Nitro susceptible to a strong run inside? In theory. Hi, Carmen. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Is 7 the max wide receivers you can take or more? No, Alex, you can keep as many as you want. You just have to be ready to go short, loose, light other places. But they could keep 8 if they want. They won't, but they could. Could some pressure come from Gilbert? Thank you for mentioning. I keep forgetting him, but he did play really well on Thursday night, and I went back and I watched the game this morning even, and I was reminding myself, yeah, he had a pretty good game. Now, the question always is with those guys is, okay, is he having a good game because he's using really good technique and he's just, playing very well, or is he going against a third or fourth stringer who's not even going to be in the NFL this year? That's where the balance comes in when you're kind of looking at this stuff, especially in the second half of these preseason games. His technique looked good, but I just don't know about the level of competition he was going against. But he did play well. He did have a very nice game. Jeffrey, I don't answer the Packers record question until after the 4th preseason game. Favorite fringe player? I gotta say it's probably Pipkins. I liked him in the spring. He kind of started slowly this camp, but he's come on lately, and I thought he played really well on Thursday night. So, for a guy who's at a position where they were really bad last year and they're a little banged up right now, maybe he makes a push for a roster spot. Daniels or Gilbert Brown, who do you take? Oh, Gilbert Brown every time. And I love Mike Daniels. I think he's a great player, but that is Gilbert Brown's house. How's DaQuan Holmes doing? I thought Holmes played pretty well on Thursday night. Nothing too flashy. But again, that's a guy who really needs to make every bit, of his opportunities because of the fact that he gets so few in practice. The little I had seen in practice had been pretty pedestrian, but I thought he acquitted himself quite admirably on Thursday night. Good move bringing back Good. I would agree, Mario. Like I said earlier, you can't afford to lose a game in this day and age on a bad snap. You just can't do it. Steve, Gray, yes, I thought Gray played well in the run game on Thursday night. I didn't think he had the best day in pass protection. That's been his bugaboo. That's been his area of weakness. That's something he's going to have to work on. But overall, he's had a very strong camp, and I think he's got an outside shot of making the 53. I think he's definitely in line for a practice squad berth. Surprise cut this year. You guys are always about the surprise cuts. There aren't always surprise cuts. I would doubt Randall will be cut, but you never know. Do you think our D playing against Aaron hurts them? Our defense? No, I think that makes them better. Who gets their 5th Lombardi first, Green Bay or the New York Giants? I'm going to say Green Bay just because Eli's much closer to the end of the road and he did not look great last year, whereas Aaron Rodgers is still at the height of his powers and has 6-7 years yet to play. Pedro, that's funny. How did Price look? Salvatore, he looked, I'd say pedestrian. I wanted to see more. But now, again, it's very early. It's just one game. It's just one bit of a preseason game. But, we'll see. We'll see if he can kind of improve from there. Okay, I'm going to take one or two more, guys, and then I'm going to have to run. How did Jordan Tripp do? You know what, Marcy, I'm glad you asked, because I was going, like I said earlier, I went back and watched the game. I didn't notice it live, but I thought he played extremely well, extremely solid football. There wasn't anything flashy, there weren't any big plays, nothing, no highlight stuff that's going to make SportsCenter, but he was assignment sure, technique sound. I kept writing in my notes, surprisingly well from Tripp. Obviously, he was playing inside linebacker, and it doesn't look like they're going to be carrying very many of those. So you wonder. I mean, I know they love him on special teams, so I wonder what they have there. Maybe he can make a move, but I really liked what he did Thursday night. Biggest need, I would say outside rusher, probably. Not that they're going to go find one. What do you think of Hundley? Like I told Ryan Wood last week after the game, I thought he had, he's up and down. I thought he had strong command at the line of scrimmage, which was nice to see. The interception was unfortunate. I think he was expecting the linebacker to continue on with the receiver, but instead he was watching the quarterback's eyes and got that interception. I'll tell you what, though, that's an interception we've seen Aaron Rodgers throw before. He did it back in 2012, was it? At the Giants game in New York at MetLife. Almost, not the exact same thing, but it was the thing where he was expecting a linebacker to do something because that was obviously what the coverage was, and the linebacker didn't do it, and he threw an interception. That's kind of what happened to Hundley. He'll live and learn on those. But I love the adjustment at the line of scrimmage for the TD to Janis, and overall I thought he played pretty solid football. If someone there, I don't know if was that English? Game is on NFL Network right now. There you go, everyone. I'm going to go watch it. So if I missed your question, I'm so sorry. They go very fast, and there's a lot of them, which means you guys are really into it and really excited and really want to connect, and I thank you for that. I'm really kind of always blown away by how many people show up and stick around. Thank you so much. Make sure you're checking out PackersNews.com for all the latest. Practice starts up again tomorrow, ones that we can watch anyway, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then they have a closed practice Thursday. Then I fly back to New York Friday, and then Washington, D.C. for the preseason game on Saturday. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. I'll talk to you soon.